Hello everyone, my name is Ben Banks, and I'm going to take you through a little training video on how CloudCall for Bullhorn works. Things like how it works natively with inside of Bullhorn, what the Chrome extension actually is versus what a soft phone or a physical desk phone is, how you log a note inside of Bullhorn. And I've got a couple of things on the agenda here that I want to cover. It's a bit more technical, so we can explain to you the difference between the Chrome extension, what an actual click device is, what an inbound screen pop looks like and how that works inside of Bullhorn, and what we've done to make it easier for your recruiters so they can see who's calling in, so they can log a note very, very quickly in Bullhorn and move on to the next call. Okay, so I'm just going to switch over my screen for a second, so bear with me. Again, I'm just going to switch into Bullhorn here, okay? So first things first, obviously I'm going to explain what CloudCall is, but I want to explain the Chrome extension first, okay? So I'm going to bring that up. Now the Chrome extension itself, it's not a phone itself, okay? It's a phone handler. So it's an interface for quite a couple of things. It allows you to basically choose what device you want to make calls with the Chrome extension, okay? So let's say you're in the office, you want to use your main desk phone, which is a physical phone on your desk, like a Cisco handset or a Polycom handset. Okay, so exactly the same thing. You'll be using that to pick up your calls, and when you get an inbound call, you'll pick that up to receive the inbound call, okay? What the Chrome extension does is allow you to see a couple of things. So who you're calling out to, when someone calls inbound, what that person is calling in, so you can navigate to their record very, very quickly. It also allows you to control a lot of the phone controls that you would normally have on a call, like putting someone on hold, putting someone on mute, transferring a call, or even doing a click-to-call conference. Okay. So again, this is not a phone, it's just the extension that works with the Bullhorn integration. Okay, so I'm going to put that down to the side here. And first things first, I'm going to make a click-to-call. All right, so I'm going to click on a hyperlink number, and just to cover with everyone, all numbers are hyperlinked inside of Bullhorn. So whether you're in the lead, list view, or in a record, a contact, or a candidate, you'll be able to click on the actual number. All right, so there's my number there. I'm going to click to call Just Vanson. My desk phone immediately rings, and when I answer that desk phone, there's an outbound call generated to that lead or that candidate, for example. The call comes through to that candidate, and I'm on a call with them live. So the good thing is I'm straight away in the Bullhorn native notes window. I can then log my notes just like a recruiter can. I can add a note template, same way I can put email notify my manager to say that I had a great call with a candidate and they're willing to start the job next week. Maybe they've accepted the offer, for example. And I can also add my job reference, like 3 IT developers that I'm looking for. Okay, so basic stuff. Nothing's changing here. We made this so simple that we're going back to how you use Bullhorn in the old way. So it's very, very simple. Everything's in exactly the same window. The other benefit to this is that you're inside the record immediately when you're on a call. So I can see immediately Joseph Anderson. I can see if there was any notes left against Joseph Anderson's record. So is another salesperson, another recruiter working with that same contact or that same lead or that same client or candidate, I should say. And I can also see any conversation that happened prior. So maybe before I make the click to call, I can listen back to that call to see what was said, okay, in previous notes. If there was any job assigned to this, any job reference, I can click on View Reference. And if there's not, obviously you'll know there's nothing assigned to that. If I go down to the next record, maybe there was something assigned to this one. So you can see that Joseph Anderson's been assigned to the 3 IT developers job. Okay, so it's just a nice bit of visualization so you can see multiple areas in Bullhorn who's working that specific lead or that specific candidate record. Okay, and again, because we're opening the record, we're also opening the native notes, allowing you to do your note, add your note and template, put your job reference in there, and email notify someone straight away. All right. Now, if the candidate or the client, for example, hangs up, your Chrome extension will also hang up. Okay, so let me just do that for you. That's the candidate hanging up there, and it tells you that the call's finished, okay? But you still need to action your notes and do everything. So luckily, we auto-stamp the action for an outbound call with outbound call, but you do still have the ability to change the action if you need to, or the outcome, all right? And again, you can still do all the normal things you would do in Bullhorn. So let's just say we want to save that. Now, we have that set to automatically close the note and the record once you've completed a call, but we do have settings around each user so they can define, do they want to keep that record open, do you want the note record to stay open, or do you want to automatically close it? It's individually up to each user so they can get used to it with the way they work in their workflow, all right? Again, the Chrome extension reverts back to its normal state here, and what I want to explain with the Chrome extension is that it's like almost like a fast find box. So in Bullhorn, you can search for Ben Banks, so I know as a contact, okay? And as you all know, that searches all of Bullhorn to find that candidate lead or that contact with that name, Ben Banks. But alternatively, I can do the same thing inside the Chrome extension. So I can say, looking for Ben Banks. As you can see, it'll search, it'll find Ben Banks. If you're not in that record, you can either call from here, just like clicking on a hyperlink number in Bullhorn, or you can open up the record and it'll open up Bullhorn's contact record for you. So I'm in Ben Banks' record. Again, I can see any previous notes or call recordings that were left with that contact or the candidate. And I also can go into the main notes page, and again, all the notes are stored in this area here for you. And previously, we used to store it in call history if you're a legacy customer with CloudCall, but we got rid of that, so it's all now in the same area that that recruiter will be used to. So it's nice and simple. And you can see there's multiple calls from me to obviously this contact. I can drop it down and see if there's any notes or references, or maybe there's a call recording assigned to it. Okay? So just to explain what the Chrome extension does. Now, if you are working with a client that you've been working with for many years and you've got very good rapport with them, you can have favorites set here. So I can keep him there all the time. I might want to call Ben just to check the client health and make sure that we're looking after, any candidates that come on board with Ben. I know that we're still in constant communication with Ben Banks and that company that he works within. Okay? So just to show you what the useful functions are within the actual Chrome extension. All right? So I've shown you a click to call outbound, and I've shown you what the search box inside of Chrome does. I've explained to you what a click device is, and again, a click device is just any device you want that has a 10-digit number against it. So a physical desk phone has a 10-digit DID and an extension. We only work with the actual full number, which is 10 digits, okay? Same with a soft phone. So a soft phone is the same as a desk phone, a physical desk phone. The only difference is it's inside your computer, all right? So this is exactly the same as my Polycom on my Cisco handset, but it's just inside the computer, and I'm using a USB headset rather than having to pick up a physical or manual receiver, okay? So again, each user within inside your business can have up to 10 click devices. Now, if they're working from home, they can set it to their mobile, do a click to call outbound, and use their mobile as that device. Now, it doesn't charge them personally to use their mobile if they are working from home, but the benefit is that they can mask their outbound display number, manually changing it. So I'm never going to show my mobile number out to the candidate, my personal mobile number. It's only going to show my office line. Okay, so the call would always come back to my office line rather than to the cell phone itself or the mobile phone itself. Okay, so just explaining that and being nice and clear about that. Now, the other thing I want to cover with you is the Chrome extension as a phone handler and what it does when you're on a live call. So I'm going to do another click to call outbound. Again, my phone rings. I answer that. I'm on a live call, okay? So on the live call, there's a couple of things you can do. So you can mute the customer rather than having to go to the soft phone or your desk phone physically. Just mute the customer straight from here. You can put that person on hold so the customer hears on hold music while you go away and maybe speak to your manager. You can also pause or resume the call recording. So by default, CloudCall records all calls for 12 months. And if, for example, you don't want the calls recorded per user account, that can be turned off per user. But let's say you are recording the call and your candidate's giving you some private information, maybe sensitive material, you can then hit pause, and it stops mutes the microphone on both sides. So myself, the candidate, nothing's being recorded. Once I resume it, that's when the call recording kicks back in. Okay, so that's really useful. If someone says, I don't want the call recorded, can you turn it off, please? Just mute it, just pause it and keep it paused for the whole call. Again, if you're taking the private information, then you can resume it afterwards. All right, so just to be clear on that. The other thing you can do is you can either leave a voicemail. So if I hit someone's voicemail, it says, please leave a message after the beep. I can physically say my voicemail and leave a message, or we allow you to use voicemail drop. And what voicemail drop is, it's canned recordings that you can send. Let's say you're working with different kinds of clients. So let's say you're working for a specific client and you want to explain what the job role is, when the start date is, what the fee of that job is. You could have that in that box for recording and just drop it once you hear the beep. What I like to do myself personally is wait for the beep, say, hi Joseph, I've got a little bit of information I'm going to drop in a voicemail to you. Before I leave that message, just letting you know the date's the 31st of February, and I'm going to give you some information about the job. If you're interested, call me back, okay? Once you select the voicemail, you click send. Your call automatically hangs up, allowing you to then log your note. Left a voicemail, like so. and then you can move on to your next record. Again, if the call's complete when you save, the note and the record closes down, moving on to the next record. Okay, so the next record might be Sam here. Okay, and I want to click to call him next. All right? When you are making these click to calls, before you call out to someone, if you are working from a list view, you can use the binoculars first before calling out to anyone. So before you do your call, you might want to do a little bit of work behind this. Go to the LinkedIn profile, maybe look at what was the last note left with that person. So I can see Ben Banks, he's been called multiple times. I can see any note that was left, and there was a voicemail left with him. I can even listen back to that, okay? So you have to give it a couple of minutes with the call recording. It takes up to 30 seconds for the call to be available, but the note and the outcome of that call will be instantaneously put into Bullhorn for you, so you're not wasting time, okay? Again, I like to leave this binoculars open because I can just go down a list one at a time, move on to my next record, then click on Sam, for example. As you can see, it changes. No one's called him, so I can click down and make a call to him, okay? So the other thing is being able to know who's calling immediately. It's really important that you can really personalize your experience with your candidates. If you know who that person is and you say, hey, Ben, how are you doing when he's calling in, that's the whole point of our Chrome extension, to let you do that, okay? And I'm going to cover a couple of scenarios on an inbound call. So let me just do an inbound call to myself. So bear with me for a second. Just keep an eye on the lower side here. Inbound calls come in, and I'm going to answer that. And as soon as I answer that call, the record pops up with the actual Bullhorn Notes native window. So if I open the Chrome extension for a second, you saw that Ben Banks was calling in. As soon as I answer that phone, that's when the record and the note pops up, all right? Now, there's a different scenario. Sometimes your number might be related to more than one record. So the benefit of our inbound screen pop is you can drop this little action menu down. You can see the color coding inside of Bullhorn that matches a candidate, a contact, or a lead. So let's say it was Graham instead of Ben that called in. I can select Graham. My notes record automatically changes to Graham, and so does the actual record itself. Okay, so you know that you're going to relate the notes and all the actions and the job references to the correct record rather than being incorrect. Okay, it doesn't happen a lot. Obviously, if you've got a nice tidy Bullhorn environment, you're probably going to have the number against one record, but sometimes it does happen, so we do cover that. The other scenario is that you might have multiple people calling in from one business with the same outbound display number to you. So that's another reason for having this little drop down to choose what's the right kind of record and is it the right person I'm speaking to. Okay, and again, I've just chosen that it was Joseph Anderson instead calling me back, and I'm in his record, and it's already assigned the note to him. So you're not wasting any time. It's all going to be done automatically for you. I can then put my note in there. I can put, again, any action I want to. It does stamp it as an inbound call when you get an inbound call. But then I can put, again, 3 IT developers if that's what I'm looking for Joseph Anderson with regards to a job. All right. If the call's hung up, again, the Chrome extension defaults and tells you it's finished. You save the call, and you're back into the normal view of Bullhorn. Okay, and you're straight in there again into that leads list view. All right. So really easy stuff, and we're trying to make it as simple as possible for your recruiters. So again, they can personalize that inbound experience. They can make calls faster, and also be in records very quickly, make their notes, and moving on. So it makes them much more productive. All right. I've covered most of the basics here, but again, the reason for this was to kind of differentiate between what a phone is and what the Chrome extension is. They are two very different things. And just to be very clear, as a recap, this is not a phone. This is just your integration that works alongside Bullhorn. It's like almost a little Bullhorn window, whereas the soft phone or the physical desk phone on your desk is still used in conjunction with using this, so that you can choose what location you're working from and how it works, okay? Now, if you do have any questions, please do feel free to email ben.banks@cloudcall.com. I've been in CloudCall for about 5 years now. Been working with Bullhorn very closely in training their internal teams in the United States and the UK. So if there's anything you're not sure about, just please do send me an email. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.